Emotional honesty expanded. Emotional honesty is about being brave enough to stand in the truth of your own feelings, no matter how raw or uncomfortable they may be. It's not about hiding behind a mask or pretending that everything is okay when it isn't. It's about being real with yourself first and foremost, and then with others. When we talk about letting someone miss you, we need to understand that it's not just about physical absence, it's about being emotionally honest with who we are, what we need, and what we are willing to tolerate. We often convince ourselves that in order to be loved, we must be perfect, always giving, always available. But the truth is, being emotionally honest means acknowledging our own struggles, our own pain, and our own limits. It means telling people, I can't keep showing up for you if I'm not showing up for myself. It means having the courage to say, I'm hurting, I need space. And that doesn't mean I don't love you. It means I need to love myself enough to step back and heal. This is hard. This is not an easy thing to do, because there's a deep, almost primal fear that if we reveal too much of ourselves, too much of our vulnerability, people might walk away. They might not understand. And honestly, sometimes they don't. But that's okay. Being emotionally honest is not about making everyone else comfortable. It's about giving yourself the space to be whole again. And the pain that comes with that honesty is real. You'll feel it. There will be moments when you think, what if they don't miss me? What if they don't care? But that is the cost of emotional honesty. It asks you to trust that the right people, the ones who truly love you, will see your truth and love you even more for it. And if they don't, well, that's part of the lesson too. Not everyone deserves to stay in your life, and not everyone is equipped to handle your truth. Sometimes we stay in relationships, whether romantic, familial, or friendships, because we're scared of being alone, scared of facing the truth that maybe we've been given too much. We're afraid that if we pull back, if we stop showing up all the time, we'll be forgotten. But let me tell you, it's not about being forgotten. It's about creating space for those who truly appreciate you to step forward. It's about being emotionally honest with yourself, knowing that your worth does not depend on constant availability, on always being needed, on always being the one who sacrifices. And even more than that, emotional honesty is about the freedom it gives you. When you're honest about what you need, what you can give, and where you need to set boundaries, you start living in alignment with your true self. You start feeling peace because you no longer have to wear a mask or pretend to be someone you're not. There is a freedom in standing tall in your vulnerability and saying, I deserve rest. I deserve time for myself. I deserve to be valued, and I won't settle for less. The emotional honesty you have with yourself is what allows you to step back. It gives you the strength to say, I need a moment to recharge, to reflect, to remember who I am outside of this role I've been playing. And when you do that, not only do you honor yourself, but you also show others how to truly value you, not as a convenience, but as a whole person with needs, dreams and desires. Being emotionally honest also means accepting that some people may not understand your need for space. They might push back. They might try to guilt trip you into coming back into their orbit, pulling you into their drama or their needs. And in those moments, you have to hold firm in your truth. You have to stand strong in the fact that your absence is not a punishment to them. It is a gift to yourself, a chance to reconnect with the parts of you that were starting to fade under the weight of constantly being there for others. It is in those moments when you allow yourself to be emotionally honest that you begin to teach others how to love you by first teaching yourself how to love you. You can't expect anyone to miss you or to appreciate you if you're not willing to recognize your own value first. And that takes honesty. It takes courage. It takes a willingness to face the truth of your emotions, no matter how difficult it may be. So be honest, be real. Let people see the full spectrum of who you are, your strengths, your vulnerabilities, your desires, and your limits. Because only then can they truly understand the importance of your presence, and when you step away, they will feel the absence of something real, something worth missing. Self-worth and boundaries expanded. Self-worth is the foundation upon which every healthy relationship is built. It is the deep knowing that you are deserving of love, respect, and kindness, not because of what you do for others, but because of who you are. And understanding your self-worth is not about arrogance or pride. It's about recognizing that you as a person have intrinsic value that cannot be diminished by anyone's opinions or actions. Too often we get caught up in the idea that we must constantly prove our worth to others, whether through our work, our loyalty, or how much we sacrifice of ourselves. We bend over backward to meet other people's needs, thinking that if we give enough, we will earn their love or respect. But in reality, self-worth is not something you can earn through actions. It's something that is already yours, just waiting for you to acknowledge it. The moment you understand that your worth is not dependent on external validation, you unlock a new level of freedom. You stop seeking approval from others, and instead you begin to give yourself the love and respect you've been trying to get from outside sources. And once you recognize your worth, that's when the power of boundaries comes into play. Boundaries are a form of self-respect. They are the clear lines that define how much of yourself you are willing to give to others and how much you are willing to protect for your own well-being. Boundaries are not about shutting people out or being cold. They are about creating space for you to thrive, for you to grow, and for you to love yourself enough to say, this is where I stop and this is where I need you to respect me. When we don't set boundaries, we invite people into our lives and allow them to take as much as they want, whether that's time, energy, emotional support, or even our physical presence. We think that by being endlessly available, we're proving how much we care, how much we're willing to sacrifice. But what happens when we give everything and no one sees the toll it's taken on us? What happens when we pour ourselves out and find ourselves empty, drained, and resentful because we gave too much and received too little in return? Without boundaries, we lose ourselves. We forget that we are entitled to take up space, to ask for our needs to be met, to say no without feeling guilty. Boundaries are the act of honoring your needs. They are the act of saying, I deserve peace. I deserve time for myself. I deserve to be treated with respect and kindness. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It's not cold. It's a necessary act of self-preservation. It's a way of protecting the sanctity of your heart and mind. When you set a boundary, you are not saying that you don't care about the other person. You are simply saying that your needs matter too, and you will not sacrifice your well-being to keep someone else comfortable. Learning to set boundaries can be difficult because we fear that others will reject us or that we will be seen as difficult or selfish. But in reality, people who respect you will understand your need for boundaries. People who truly care about you will not try to guilt trip you into giving more than you can. They will honor the space you need to recharge, to heal, and to take care of yourself. However, people who are used to you being constantly available, constantly giving, may not understand at first. They may push back, try to convince you that you're being unreasonable or distant. But that is where the true test of your self-worth comes in. Will you stay true to your needs, even if it means facing their disapproval? Will you enforce the boundaries that protect your peace, even if it's uncomfortable? Setting boundaries is also about being honest with yourself. It means recognizing when you're giving too much, when you're sacrificing your needs for someone else's comfort, and when you're putting yourself last. The more you ignore your own needs, the less you are able to show up as your authentic self. And over time, that begins to erode your sense of self-worth. You start believing that you don't deserve to rest, that you don't deserve to say no, that you don't deserve time for yourself. But the truth is, if you don't set boundaries, you are telling the world that your needs aren't important. You are telling others that their demands on you matter more than your own well-being. When you set boundaries, you teach others how to treat you. You show them that you are someone who values yourself enough to not be taken for granted. You show them that your time, your energy, and your heart are precious and that you will not tolerate anything less than the respect you deserve. This does not mean you become rigid or unyielding, but it does mean that you have a sense of your own limits and that you are unafraid to communicate them. Self-worth and boundaries go hand in hand because you cannot protect your boundaries if you don't believe you're worthy of them. If you don't see yourself as valuable, you'll never have the courage to say no or to stand firm in the face of others' demands. But when you realize your worth, you start protecting what matters most to you. And when you protect yourself, you create the space to live a more peaceful, fulfilled life, one that is free from resentment, guilt, and self-sacrifice. Boundaries are not about creating walls between you and others. They are about creating a healthy space where love, respect, and reciprocity can thrive. They are about making sure that when you show up for others, you're doing it from a place of abundance, not exhaustion. Because when you set boundaries, you are teaching people how to love you not by what you give, but by how much you respect and value yourself. You show them that your presence is a gift, and that gift deserves to be cherished and honored. And here's the thing, when you start setting boundaries, people will notice. They may resist it at first, they may test you, push you, or try to make you feel guilty. But eventually they will respect you more, not just because you've set boundaries, but because you've shown them that you are someone who understands your worth, and that is something that commands respect. The power of absence expanded. There's a quiet power in absence, a strength that doesn't require shouting or demanding attention. It's the kind of power that is often underestimated, overlooked, and misunderstood. But the truth is, sometimes stepping away from people, situations, or relationships is the most profound way to assert your presence, your worth, and your value. Absence has a unique way of making people stop and take notice. When you are always there, always available, always giving, people begin to take you for granted. They come to expect your presence, your help, your energy, and your support, not out of malice, but simply because you've conditioned them to believe that you will always be there. It's almost like a safety net that they never have to think twice about until it's gone. But the moment you step back, the moment you remove yourself from the equation, things start to shift. That's when they notice the weight of your absence, the empty space where your energy used to be. And here's the thing, absence doesn't always mean physical distance. You can be physically present but emotionally absent, and people will still feel it. In the same way, stepping back emotionally, taking time to invest in your own growth, healing, and peace can have a profound impact. It's not about disappearing for the sake of punishment. It's about creating space where others can reflect on your value, where they can sit with the reality of your absence and truly appreciate the impact you've had. There's a power in allowing others to feel the absence of your energy, your light, your love. It teaches them something they can't learn when you're always present. It teaches them to appreciate you, to realize what you bring to their lives. People often don't understand how much they depend on someone until that someone isn't there anymore. And that's the beauty of absence. It forces them to pause and reflect. It reminds them that relationships, whether romantic, familial, or professional, are not guaranteed, that the people who show up for them, who give of themselves freely, are treasures that should not be taken for granted. Absence also has a way of redefining the dynamics of relationships. It strips away the taken for granted nature of constant availability and forces a shift in how people engage with you. The truth is, if you're always around, people stop investing in you the way they should. They stop thinking about how they can show up for you because you've conditioned them to believe that you'll always show up for them. But when you step back, they have to step forward. They have to make an effort. And in doing so, they discover something they didn't know before. Your absence creates a space for them to grow as well. They are forced to show up in a way they didn't have to when you were always around. And this isn't just about relationships with others. This is about creating space for your own personal growth. Absence gives you the opportunity to step out of the chaos, to take a break, to breathe. We live in a world that constantly demands more from us. There's always someone who needs something. Always a responsibility pulling at us, always a noise in the background. But when you make the conscious decision to step away from the noise, whether it's from work, from family obligations, from relationships that drain you, you create space to hear your own voice again. You create the room to think, to reflect, and to focus on what matters most yourself in that space. You are able to realign with your purpose, your passions, and your path. Absence can also be a form of self-respect. When you step back from situations where you are being overextended, underappreciated, or drained, you are showing yourself that you are worth more than just being a constant presence for others. You are saying, I deserve peace. I deserve time to myself. I deserve to be valued, not just used, and this is a powerful message, both to yourself and to the world around you. Absence, when done with intention, communicates that you are not someone who can be taken for granted. You are someone who understands their own worth, someone who values their peace enough to protect it. Moreover, absence helps us put things into perspective. It can reveal the true nature of relationships, the depth of connection, and the authenticity of the bond. When you step away, people are either drawn closer to you, realizing the true value of your presence, or they fade away, revealing that perhaps they were only there for convenience, for what you could offer them. Absence, in this sense, is a kind of test, a litmus test for the strength and sincerity of relationships. It separates the people who genuinely care for you from those who only appreciated you when it was convenient for them. When you allow yourself to be absent, you're also teaching others how to value their own space. When they see you take the time to step away, to focus on yourself, it reminds them that they too can do the same. It's a subtle form of leadership where you model the importance of self-care, of emotional distance when needed, and of knowing that sometimes stepping back is the most loving thing you can do for both yourself and for others. Absence reminds people that love isn't always about proximity sometimes. Love is about respect and space, about knowing when to step back so that you can step forward with even more to give. There's an undeniable strength that comes with choosing absence. It's not about playing games, creating drama, or seeking revenge. It's simply about understanding that your energy, your time, and your love are valuable. It's about recognizing that people can only truly appreciate what you bring to the table when they are forced to confront the void left in your absence. And the beauty of this power is that it is yours to wield quietly, gracefully, and without apology. Absence has a way of making people think, of making them reflect. It opens their eyes to what they might have taken for granted. And sometimes that reflection is exactly what's needed for them to see the true value of who you are. Growth and transformation are not always comfortable processes. They often demand a level of courage and vulnerability that many of us shy away from. It requires us to acknowledge that we are not finished products, that we have the capacity to evolve, to change, and to become someone better, stronger, and more aligned with our true selves. And growth doesn't always happen in the easiest or most obvious of ways. It can come through pain, loss, mistakes, and moments of deep reflection. It's about shedding the old layers, the old beliefs, and the old habits that no longer serve us, and stepping into something new, something truer, and something more authentic. One of the most profound moments of growth happens when we make the conscious decision to walk away from situations, people, or environments that are stunting our development. Sometimes to truly grow, we need to create space between us and the things that are holding us back. This isn't about cutting people off out of spite or anger. It's about recognizing that the company we keep, the environments we immerse ourselves in, and the energy we surround ourselves with all play a critical role in how we evolve. You can't expect to grow if you keep holding on to things that are preventing you from expanding. Just like a tree needs to be pruned to grow stronger, sometimes we need to make tough choices, whether it's leaving behind relationships that drain us, stepping away from toxic situations, or cutting ties with environments that don't nurture our potential. Growth requires movement, and sometimes that movement means letting go. And when we let go, it's not just about walking away from something or someone, it's about stepping into the unknown. Transformation doesn't come with a guarantee. It doesn't come with a blueprint or a checklist of steps that will lead us to success. Transformation is messy, unpredictable, and often uncomfortable. It requires you to sit with uncertainty, to embrace the unknown, and to trust that the changes you're undergoing are leading you somewhere better, even if you can't see the final destination yet. One of the key aspects of growth is the willingness to face the discomfort of change. Growth often demands that we question our own beliefs, our own fears, and the narratives we've been telling ourselves for years. It asks us to challenge the patterns that have kept us stuck and to rewrite the stories we've been living. The hardest part of transformation is often not the external changes we have to make, but the internal ones. It's about shedding old mindsets, old fears, and old ways of thinking that no longer serve us. It's about being honest with ourselves about who we were, who we are now, and who we want to become. True growth can't happen unless we allow ourselves to be uncomfortable. We have to confront the parts of ourselves that we'd rather ignore, the fears and insecurities that hold us back from fully stepping into who we are meant to be. And it's in those moments of discomfort, when we feel most vulnerable, that the most profound shifts occur. Transformation requires a willingness to be broken open, to face our shadows, and to trust that even in the darkest moments, something beautiful is being forged within us. And here's the thing about growth. It's not always linear. We don't just wake up one day and become someone completely different. Transformation takes time. It takes patience, persistence, and a willingness to keep going even when the road gets tough. You will stumble. You will fall. You will question whether the changes you're making are worth it. But let me remind you, the hardest parts of the journey are often where the greatest lessons are learned. You can't rush transformation. You can't force it to happen. It unfolds in its own time, at its own pace, and sometimes the most profound moments of growth come when you least expect them. The beauty of growth is that it's not just about becoming someone new, it's about becoming more of who you truly are. The process of transformation is a journey of discovery, of peeling back the layers that society, fear, or self-doubt have placed on you until you are left with the raw, unfiltered version of yourself. It's about letting go of who you thought you were supposed to be and embracing who you truly are at the core of your being. In this sense, growth is a return. It's a return to your authentic self, the version of you that has always existed underneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to emerge. When you go through a transformation, you begin to see parts of yourself that you may have forgotten or neglected, parts of you that were always there, but buried beneath the weight of expectation, fear, or past hurt. Growth is about rediscovering those pieces of yourself, healing them, and integrating them into the person you are becoming. Another powerful aspect of growth and transformation is the way it shifts our perspective on life and relationships. As you evolve, you begin to see the world through a different lens. You start to attract different people, different opportunities, and different experiences because you are no longer operating from the same place you once were. You start making decisions that align more closely with who you are and what you truly need rather than what others expect from you or what you think you should be doing. Your relationships begin to change because you no longer tolerate anything that doesn't honor your growth. You stop settling for less and you start demanding more, not from others, but from yourself. Growth and transformation also teach us about forgiveness both for others and for ourselves. Transformation involves confronting the things that have hurt you, the mistakes you've made, and the regrets you carry. It means releasing the guilt, the shame, and the anger that keep you tethered to the past, and instead embracing the lessons that have come from those experiences. Growth isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about recognizing that every step, every misstep, and every setback has been part of your journey, and it's all led you to this moment of awareness, this moment of possibility. When you go through growth, you start to realize that you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have it all figured out. The process of transformation is less about a destination and more about the experience, the unfolding, the becoming, and the evolution. You start to trust the process, to trust that even when things don't make sense, even when you feel lost or uncertain, you are still moving forward, still growing. You are not the same person you were yesterday, and you won't be the same person tomorrow. But that's the beauty of it. Growth is about progress, not perfection. And as you transform, as you shed the old and embrace the new, you begin to understand the power of patience, not just with the world around you, but with yourself. Because the greatest transformation you will ever undergo is not in how others see you, but in how you see yourself. The moment you stop measuring your worth by external standards and start honoring your own journey, that's when true growth happens. And it's in that moment, when you stand fully in your own power, that the world around you begins to shift in ways you never imagined. Resilience and strength expanded. Resilience and strength are two qualities often romanticized, but seldom understood in their full complexity. These aren't traits that are developed overnight. They are cultivated through hardship, failure, and moments of deep struggle. They are built in the quiet moments when no one is watching, in the decision to rise again after each fall, and in the inner determination to keep moving forward, even when the world feels like it's crumbling around you. Resilience is the ability to bend without breaking, to adapt when life doesn't go according to plan, and to maintain your equilibrium even when everything seems uncertain. It's not just about withstanding challenges, it's about growing through them. The most resilient people aren't the ones who never fall, they are the ones who find a way to get back up, even when it feels like the weight of the world is on their shoulders. They understand that setbacks aren't failures, they're opportunities for growth. Resilience is the refusal to allow circumstances to define you. It's the strength to stay grounded even in the fiercest storms. Strength, on the other hand, is often misunderstood as sheer physical power or the ability to endure endless hardship. But true strength is not about toughness, it's about depth. Strength is found in vulnerability. Strength is found in acknowledging your weaknesses and allowing yourself to feel your emotions without letting them control you. It's about having the courage to face your pain head on and not allowing it to consume you. Strength is the ability to stay open to life, even when it has hurt you, and to continue to engage with the world despite the scars you carry. It's the mental and emotional muscle that allows you to keep going, to keep believing, and to keep moving forward no matter how many times you've been knocked down. Resilience and strength are often born out of necessity. Life doesn't give us a choice as to whether we will face hardship. It will come to us whether we are ready or not, and often when we least expect it. But it's in these moments of crisis, pain, and loss that resilience and strength are forged. They are honed by how we respond to adversity. We may not be able to control what happens to us, but we have the power to decide how we react. Will we give in to despair, or will we rise? Even if it's one small step at a time. Will we allow ourselves to be shaped by our challenges, or will we use them as fuel for transformation? Resilience is often mistaken for a lack of emotion or the ability to just get over it, but resilience is not about suppressing your feelings. It's about feeling the full weight of your emotions and then finding the strength to move forward anyway. Resilient people are not the ones who never cry, never feel pain, or never question their worth. Resilience is about experiencing the deepest moments of hurt and still finding the will to rise. It's the ability to honor your grief and sadness and yet not let them define your future. It's about embracing your vulnerability as a part of your strength and knowing that it's okay to not have everything figured out. Strength is also about learning to trust yourself, even when you've been let down by others or the world around you. It's about understanding that your ability to endure doesn't come from external sources, it comes from within. It's a belief in your own power, in your own ability to navigate whatever life throws at you. Strength is what keeps you moving forward when everything seems to be falling apart. It's the voice inside that says, I may not have all the answers right now, but I know I will find a way through. Resilience is rooted in perspective. It's about seeing challenges not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for learning and growth. When life knocks you down, you have a choice in how you respond. You can choose to remain stuck in the pain, or you can choose to ask, what is this moment trying to teach me? Resilience allows you to reframe your circumstances, to find meaning even in the most difficult situations. It doesn't mean that everything will be easy or that you will always understand why something happens, but it does give you the strength to continue forward with purpose, even when the road ahead is unclear. Both resilience and strength require a level of faith, not necessarily in a religious sense, but faith in the process of life itself. Faith that even when things seem to be falling apart, there is a greater force at work. Faith that even in the darkest times, there is light on the other side. Strength is about trusting that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way, and resilience is about having the courage to keep going when you don't know what's ahead. It's the deep, unwavering belief that you have the inner resources to survive and thrive, no matter how tough the journey becomes. Another essential aspect of resilience and strength is the importance of support. While resilience is often seen as an individual trait, no one grows alone. Our strength is amplified when we allow ourselves to lean on others, when we share our burdens with those we trust. The strongest people are not the ones who try to carry their pain alone, but the ones who recognize that it's okay to ask for help, to be supported, and to let others walk beside them on their journey. Strength doesn't mean doing everything by yourself. It means having the humility to accept that you don't have to carry the weight of the world alone. Resilience is not just about surviving hardship, it's about thriving in the aftermath. It's about taking the lessons learned from adversity and using them to create a life that is richer, more meaningful, and more aligned with your true self. When you go through a difficult period, you often emerge with greater wisdom, greater clarity, and greater self-awareness. You learn what truly matters, what you are capable of, and how strong you really are. Your sense of self deepens, your empathy for others grows, and your capacity for gratitude expands. The challenges you face, while painful in the moment, often lay the foundation for a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Strength is also about embracing change. Life doesn't stand still, and neither can we. The most resilient people are those who adapt to change, who learn to flow with the inevitable ebbs and tides of life. Strength lies in the ability to remain flexible, to adjust your course when necessary, and to trust that each phase of your journey has something valuable to offer. It's the courage to let go of what no longer serves you, to release the old patterns, beliefs, and fears that keep you stuck, and to embrace new possibilities with an open heart. Ultimately, resilience and strength are not about being perfect or about never experiencing pain or doubt. They are about developing the fortitude to rise again and again, no matter how many times you fall. They are about embracing your scars as symbols of survival, of lessons learned, and of a heart that refuses to give up. Resilience and strength are the quiet power that exists within us all, waiting to be tapped into in times of need. And once you discover this inner power, you realize that there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that you cannot overcome.